you see, let's remember, so-called ecosystem service, not the reference. And I think the other two presenters, now this is the first to see you, but I like to say now hello. Well, this session is for so-called nature-based solutions, NBS. I think Alice Penning will give us a introductory remark about what NBS means and any related fundamental aspects of NBS. You see, well, then this special session, which was organized by me and Alice Penning, but this organization, session was sponsored by, you see, IWSSM. It is International Center for Water Security and Sustainable Management, a UNESCO, you see, designated organization in Korea. And then we have today in this session 5 speakers, and I allocate each speaker for available time. So let me first introduce the first speaker, Dr. Alice Penning. She is working in Delft, the Netherlands, and she is going to give us, you see, a kind of introductory remarks, say, general introduction on the NBS in river management using a catchment perspective. So I give you 10 minutes. So about 8 minutes after your presentation, I will let you know so that we can have some 2 minutes or 3 minutes Q&A. Okay, Alice. Alice, I am calling Alice. Alice? Okay. Yes, you see, there are 10 audience in this session room, and beside there would be about 15 participants online, not in this room. It's a hybrid. So I think we have about 25 audiences and 5 speakers. So I think it's good a session. So I'm asking Alice Penning to give us some presentation about what you are saying. I don't think she does not answer, does not hear me.
지금 안 열리고 있는데 좀 권한이 문제가.
Well, please wait. Be patient because there's another technical, you see, coordinates. So please be patient. I don't see you here in the screen. So,
Dr. Alice Penning, could you please unmute and try to share the screen? You can change the setting to share the screen by clicking the button on your left side of the screen.
지금 나간 것 같은데 두 번째 발표부터 시작하는 거예요.
Okay, I guess she's not with us at this time. So may I ask second speaker to give us presentation? I think second speaker, according to this program, is Dr. Chanju Lee. Are you ready? Is it okay for you to speak at this time? No, I don't hear you. Dr. Lee, You see,
Can you?
yes, please say. Yeah, can you
Yeah,
give
yeah,
us
yeah.
your presentation? Because
Yeah, I
don't-
just looked at the Alice Penning's presentation, and it includes some short introduction of all our presenters. So I'm sorry she cannot make it. So I'd like to start my presentation now.
Okay, please download your file.
Yeah. So can you see my presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm Chanjulin in Korea Institute of Civil Engineering and Building Technology. Today's my talk is less than vegetation colonization in monsoonal sand-laden river Nason stream in Korea. Yeah. Now I'd like to start with the background. So riparian vegetation is highly interesting subject in the science, engineering, resource, ecology societies, because it plays a role as an engineer in channel forming processes in terms of hydrogeomorphology, and it acts as a flow obstruction, decreasing conveyance. And another thing, in terms of ecology and environmental integrity, it is a key component in riverine landscape and ecosystem. And also, it responds dynamically to change in flow rate and other conditions, which is caused by climate change. This is my own motivation. In mid-latitude monsoon regions, countries like Korea and Japan, last decade has seen riparian vegetation colonization in rivers regardless the dams. Those photos show how the rivers of Korea was vegetated, and as a result, active channels, and that was wide and unvegetated in the past now become narrow. And some rivers, like Nason Stream and like those rivers in the screen, have experienced drastic vegetation colonization. To understand this problem, we set forth these questions and replied by ourselves in case studies about Nason Stream. The photo shows vegetation colonization in some part of the Nason Stream. Sorry. Here is the introduction of the Nason Stream. It is a nature heritage as an unregulated river, but now it is a regulated river. Yeah, so the screen shows the general characteristics of the Nason Stream and its watershed. It is senior rivers, and you can see the tourist site and the mountain meandering and famous riverbank. And also it shows the grading pattern of the river in 2013. We have made long-term multi-aspect monitoring and data collection for the river, but now the slide shows a more complicated method, but I'd like to focus on the surface cover mapping and quantitative terrestrial photography. This is the long-term change in temperature and hydrology. So it is a characteristic mid-latitude monsoon climate conditions. Now in Nason River watershed, average temperature is gradually elevated. You can see the red lines. And also hydrology shows annual and seasonal variability of flow. In 2003 and 1999, we suffered from very high flow like this, but now in 2013-2019, those years are higher temperature, low humidity. So low humidity here and higher temperature is the characteristics of the study period. This slide shows the long-term changes of the surface cover. During 1990s to 2011, occupancy of the station gradually increases. But in 2014 and 2015, we saw the very rapid increase of vegetation occupation, and now it stabilized at a high level of over 50%. And there are other ones, and water and bar and other types of land surface. This slide shows the aerial and ground views of the river, and Hyeongwon site is one of the specific sites in this study. You can see the aerial view of the very huge difference between 2013 to 2019 data set. So in 2013, almost the river is composed of the bare bars and active channels covered with water, but now active channels narrowed and all the bars was covered with the vegetation. And it coincides with the ground view like this. In 2013 is bare bars, but going through this vegetation status, and now we have the willow vegetation here. This slide will show the main result of my study. So it shows the hydrology and dynamic response of vegetation, which was shown in four specific sites. You can see the red ellipsis, and it emphasizes the increase of vegetation like this during the growing season and dry period. In 2015, we didn't have any flood. At the time, the vegetation increased so fast also. And in 2017, the flooding is very weak. We can also see the increase of vegetation. But flooding years like 2016, we can see the very sharp decrease of vegetation due to flooding. Just after flooding, the vegetation area decreased. And only after, since 2018, the vegetation was stabilized and then maintained the highest value of the. And it shows the vegetation subsection described in this graph, and you can see the more than 10% of the river area is now occupied by willow trees. And we get to discussion. So I think the hydrology is the main driver. And it has two aspects. One is the annual vegetation. And we can see the increase of extremity. So drought in 2015 and big flood in 2017, but major flood in 2016. And another thing is the timing of big flood. In 2013, it was June. It happened June, but in 2019, it happened in October. And the government and the CES in Korea says it has to delay. That means that we can have more time for vegetation growth. And all kinds of these things affected by climate change. And we have to see some probable drivers of such as temperature and water and sediment supply, but it is not enough data for the necessary. First thing is the temperature is an important factor for plant growth and can advanced flowering, fruiting, and seed dispersion. We can see some of these pictures. So you can show some range of days, seed dispersion, fruiting, and flowering. So, and in Korea, winter becomes warmer and spring becomes early. And in this slide, we can see some higher spring temperature in 2014 to 2018, and it increased the growing degree days up to 10 days before the normal mean days. That means totally that the temperature can increase the growing season, and it can riparian vegetation can cover the riverbank quickly before the flood. And we can see that the water quality was stable, shows insignificant change during 2010 to 2020. So, in conclusion, I'd like to say the main driver is hydrology, and another driver seems to be our temperature. Finally, I'd like to finalize my talk, showing this discussion for the management implications. We have challenged ahead in river channel management is due to climate change. So hydrological activity increased and global warming is now ongoing. And for that, channel narrowing happened. And that may be a threat to flood protection system due to capacity reduction and potential bank erosion aversion. And we need another one associated for harmonization of engineering and ecosystem and recreational goals. So finally, I'd like to suggest for future management in the light of nature-based solution, we need two kind of things. One is information tool for continuous vegetation monitoring based on remote sensing data, and we need another thing is the modeling, hydro vegetation morphological modeling for prediction. And finally, we have to reconsider conventional river management practice, such as channel clearing or some tree cutting, something like that. We need to advance in the light of nature-based solution. That's okay. Thank you for listening to me.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chanjoli. You see, I think we have 2 or 3 minutes before second speaker. So please let me know if you have any question or comments on his presentation from this floor or in this cyberspace. He tried to explain why we have seen the changes of so-called river colors from white river to green river. So he said probably not because of climate change, there has been change in late spring flood, and there is a change in water temperature and you see air temperatures over some others. Any question or comments?
Any questions?
Okay, Alice, you are now come back.
Yeah, I am here. So I have a quick question to Chanju. Chanju, do you think that you have lost specific biodiversity values over time, or have biodiversity values for the natural aspects?
You mean the
like sensitive species? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure totally. I'm not the ecologist, but anyway, so when you have forests and when you have trees and vegetation in your neighbors, biodiversity normally increase. And and then we can see some white, the lights in the river also. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. And any other questions on his presentation?
Yes, if I can be made presenter.
Okay, so if not, we need, let's give him a big hand. Okay, then I'd like to introduce the second speakers. You see Alice Penny, are you ready to give us presentation? Yes?
Yes, I am ready if I've been given opportunity to share my screen by the tech.
Okay, you just download your presentation file, then let me know if I see that or not. Okay, anyway, please.
Can I be made presenter, please? I see that now the room, I see Professor Wu is still...
Yes, so we need the step to help her to designate the presenter or the son.
Yes.
So just a moment, let me ask somebody in this hall.
She is not designated as a presenter, right?
발표 전 앨리스님 발표자.
Just a
Can you
moment.
otherwise show my presentation?
Yes, I'm sorry. No. Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. I set you as a.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I can now share my screen properly. It was working very smoothly when we tried the trial version.
Yeah.
Anyhow, sorry about that to the audience.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Can you share the screen?
I'm now here. Thank you.
Okay, good. Yes.
You can see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, I can see. Yeah.
Excellent. So, welcome everybody, and it's a pleasure to be here. You see a photo of the Nakdong River within the distance, the River Experiment Center, where we are working together with the KICT on vegetation management for rivers. But of course, the river is within a full catchment, so I want to talk about why we have to think about nature-based solutions for river management and how we best take a catchment approach to that as an introduction to this session. And Chanju has already given a good example of how climate change and biodiversity loss is affecting also Korea, where we see changes in temperature and precipitation. So the biodiversity loss that is also acknowledged makes that also a lot of governments and donors are increasingly applying nature-based solutions to reduce hazards and risks and to mitigate and adapt to effects of climate change and to improve water management and limit heat stress. Because of this demand for sustainable and resilient and multi-benefit solutions, we are looking strongly into nature-based solutions because they also give the opportunity to work in an integrated and multi-benefit way. So this clear trend to working with nature makes that we do see, especially within Europe already, and also in the United States, a lot of examples and trial projects. So this, for example, is an example of natural water retention measures in a database made for the European Union. So you see it happens in many countries, but actually doing it as part of your daily routine as a water management is still very challenging, and to do it everywhere. Now, nature-based solutions, in ways, we always say, they make proactive use of natural processes. And sometimes there's other terms used, such as building with nature or eco-engineering or blue-green infrastructures. Also, the IUCN has a nice document on nature-based solutions. So it doesn't really matter how you call them, but they are always there to tackle the problems that we are facing within a water management situation. And that can be floods, it can be droughts or environmental pollution, urban water management, and sediment management. So reducing these risks can also be done sometimes by nature-based solution in a cheaper or better or quicker alternative and serves multiple goals. So what we want to achieve with this session is that rather than thinking about the more technical aspects only, if you're looking at the problem, look at an alternative that can serve similar goals, but just also adds more benefits to it. So it's not necessarily said that nature-based solutions are always the best, but they should be part of your evaluation of alternatives. And one thing that we should remember is that we are living and working within catchments. And in catchments, a lot of things happen. Here we see current catchments challenges, where we see that often there is groundwater depletion happening. In urban areas, we see heat stress and flash floods. And we see soil erosion and chemical and hydromorphological pressures along the river itself. So if we are going for solutions, we have to tackle all of these within the same areas. So we want to go to a more climate-robust catchment, in which all these problems are dealt with, towards sustainable agriculture, natural functioning, improved water quality and quantity, and urban resilience. And I'm going to give you, for each of these squares, some examples, but also referring you to the talks that we are going to have during this session. And we should keep in mind that if, for example, we're looking for climate-robust agriculture, the natural water retention measures, they are very effective, but it depends a lot where in the climate zones you are, what type of measures are best taken. And we see here maps of Europe, where we see the best types of measures that you could select depending on the climatic region that you're in for various aspects, such as groundwater recharge or increasing low flow and reducing floods. Now, Chandru already talked a bit about the role of floodplain vegetation in your rivers. Also within Europe, this is very important. And interestingly, this is the lower Danube, so here's Romania. There they are using the forests of the floodplains as a natural flood defense protection mechanisms. And they do it also because it is the cheapest option. So we will have a talk by Simon Dufour later on the restoration of ecosystem service. Your river is just not only conveying water, it provides water for farmers, it provides water for people, and we need to be able to deal with this water in the right way. A nice project that I could refer you to as well to get inspired is the Addleston Water Project, where farmers, together with water managers, have been reforesting upstream catchments and made natural water retention ponds such as these to slow down the peaks in the flooding. And that also benefits them because it affects their productivity in a positive way. Now, Leon Capitas, he will show you some climate adaptation in city areas, and he will be talking about some of these types of works later on, because also the cities are part of your catchment. Often they are seen separately, but I would encourage you to see them within the full catchment and what can be done there in flooding management. Now, Sanja will also talk about the restoration of the natural system and to see how we can actually promote a better functioning river system as such. Also here, this is, for example, a really nice one for nature-based solutions where we're looking at room for the river. In room for the river, we are not wanting to make the dikes higher, but we want to give the room for floods to pass. So we're actually giving a larger floodplain area. And then, of course, we're saying, okay, nature-based solutions, there's a multitude of them, but you always have to do it with your stakeholders that are living in the area. And collaborative planning is very important. If you take your stakeholders along, and they might be engineers or foresters or farmers, you would see that they all have different needs. We're talking about flood defense. An engineer might be very happy if it's a levee system that is being in place, but it might negatively affect foresters and farmers. Whereas a nature-based flood defense might make the same type of functioning available, but also gives more happy people in the end. So that is a very simple cartoon to explain you multi-benefits, but also the financial aspects are very important. It's not easy to implement a function there you're relying on dynamic nature. As Jansu showed you, nature is variable because of climatic change. A European project that can help you with that is a nature insurance value assessment and demonstration project. It's called NIAD. And there they've been really talking about financing and long-term funding strategies as well. So Basically, I would say this is a little short inspirational talk to start up the other presentations as well. And I want to give you 3 take-home messages. Well, the first one is that nature-based solutions, they can play a very important role in integrated catchment and river management. And there are very many different types of nature-based solutions. So there's more to nature-based solutions than only the technical knowledge. Within the EcoShape Consortium, which is a Dutch consortium for implementing what we call building with nature in the Netherlands, which is basically nature-based solutions, we have identified 6 enablers. One of them is the technical system knowledge that you need, but also the stakeholder approach. There's a different way of managing and monitoring and maintenance of nature-based solution than perhaps you might be used to in traditional engineering. But also institutional embedding and the financial business cases are very important. Next to that, capacity building and telling people and inspiring people about it by giving examples, such as, for example, that is given in the Engineering with Nature Atlas, really helps to make the move forward to large-scale implementation because more people are aware of the options that are out there. Also, the new book of concepts of EcoShape helps inspire people, and there are guideline books such as this one where steps are given in which you can do this is made in cooperation with the World Bank on how this can be done. So there's plenty of guidance documents available online, and I would really encourage you all to just be inspired by the talks that we are getting, to see the river not only as a means of conveying water, but also as a place where a lot of things are happening at the same time. And where if we think about it in a more integrated way with the catchment and the people living in there, we can take steps further. So I would leave it with that, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, we say. Okay, how about our audience in cyberspace? You see? Okay, if not, I'd like to ask you one question. Alice, can you listen to me?
Yeah, I hear you.
You see, we are engineers, we are ecologists, and you see, we have faced a lot of similar concepts. Similar to NBS, as you know, they have green infrastructure, and sometimes European says blue-green infrastructures, and then some engineers prefer to say you see low impact development, and even in the academic sectors there is a academic principle named ecological engineering, or even in Netherlands, you say building with nature. So we are a little bit, in actuality, we are very much confused with those seemingly similar words. So naming is very important in this respect. I like to have a kind of handbook or a short report regarding the interrelationship between those existing names or concepts and NBS. I know NBS could be an umbrella, overarching principle, or concept that can encompass those existing concepts. So can you give me any short comments on my problems?
Yeah, I understand. I understand that the fact that there are multiple ways of defining it can be fairly confusing. But I would like to advise you not to be deterred by that, but just to go ahead and think about how you can contribute from your perspective to a more integrated way of managing the river system and its catchment. And that working with natural solutions or solutions that take the natural functioning of the system into account will often, almost always be a good way because they are flexible and they can be adapted over time. So often we say the future is uncertain, but we also know that if we put something in place that is not able to move with the problems that we have, like a dam, that cannot be adjusted so easily, it might be that in some point in time you get into a lock-in system. And a lock-in means that you cannot easily remove or replace something that you constructed. Whereas if you're working with a natural solution, such as a natural water retention measure, you can adjust it to make it function better if needed.
Okay, thank you for your good advice. You see, okay, then I'd like to invite next speakers. Okay, the next speaker is Dr. Simon Dufour. As I mentioned about him, he wrote very important in an article about what we pursue in the aspect of stream restoration. I guess in 2009 with your courses. Okay, he's talking about on the importance of ecosystem services of rivers. So, Simon, are you ready?
Simon, you don't have to upload the file. You just click the sharing like screen.
Simon, can you please share your screen by clicking the upper left button on your left side of the screen?
Okay, if he is not ready for presentation, I may invite the next speaker so that he can have more time. Is that okay?
Yeah.
That's fine by me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready, speaker.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Now Simon is here. Your work is so excellent. We can see it clearly now, Simon. Simon, your microphone is still muted and we cannot hear you.
Simon, you see, you need to turn on your microphone because I can't hear you. So we are waiting until you speak to us. I can see your slides. Okay, audience, please be patient for a while. I think now he's getting in.
Dr. Dufour, on the top screen, on the shaded in gray, there should be an icon that showing microphone and camera. And could you please turn on the microphone icon on your top upper side?
Okay, so probably not Simon. Please now take your time. I'm asking next person to give us presentation. You see, Dr. Leon Capetas, are you ready for give us presentation?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, please. Okay, I'm very happy to hear you.
Okay, let me know when I have the. Yeah, I think I have already the right to share. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, we see that.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yes, good.
So I'll just start quickly. Thanks, Alice, for the introduction of my presentation. Indeed, urban sub-catchments are part of a bigger catchment, which is the river basin catchment. So it is important to see this very intensely built environment, what impacts it has on water quality, water quantity, but also on quality of life. So now I'm working at Draxis Environmental Consulting. It's a boutique consultancy in Greece. And this is work that I've done together with the University of Cambridge and Urban Innovative Actions, which is the innovation arm of the European Regional Development Fund. So what I would like to talk about today is how we can value multiple benefits of blue-green infrastructure, both in spatial terms, but also in temporal terms. Just to highlight an example from the UK, flooding is the main, most important national hazard with the highest economic losses, and it's expected to get worse with climate change. So one would think, okay, where is it going to become worse? And you see the rainfall anomaly in January 2014. The south of the UK received 300% more of the average rainfall for that month. And then you think, okay, I should plan for the south of England. And then a year later, you see the exactly opposite picture. The north of the UK is where the problem is. What does this mean? That climate is uncertain, and we have to prepare for any type of condition that might arise in the future. So one option would be to build bigger pipes on top of the existing ones, and even bigger pipes up to huge pipes. This is clearly not a viable path. So what we're thinking here and implementing in a few cities that are a little bit more, let's say, progressive, is building with nature and developing what we call sustainable drainage systems in the UK. In other countries, it's called blue-green infrastructure, low-impact development. They're all very similar terms, but they're all nature-based solutions. That's the important thing. You can have nature-based solutions on the building scale or the block scale, but also you can have solutions at the more regional scale or neighborhood scale with sustainable drainage system, ponds and wetlands, and these have clear interaction with rivers that cut across the cities. So we should not see them as independent. We have to protect water quality and water quantity entering those rivers. So here's an example of Newcastle. We thought, what happens if we implement some green roofs and some bioswales in these specific locations that I have marked on the left? There are a few different options, and we explored some of them and put them in a GIS software to see what impact the multiple benefits can have on different, what impact the infrastructure can have on different domains. So, from pollutant trapping, biodiversity benefits, groundwater recharge, air temperature regulation. So there's a list of benefits. I'm not going to go into detail. However, what we did was do a spatial assessment of these benefits. So you see the implementation of these blue-green solutions, and they increase access to green space, they reduce noise, they favor carbon sequestration, and they reduce flood damage. So there are multiple benefits from one single intervention, and that's very different from having a pipe system. The reason is that the pipe system is underground and it works 1% of the time, but blue-green infrastructure delivers benefits 100% of the time. So 1% of the time is the time when there is rainfall. If there is no rainfall, there is no benefits from the pipes. So some key principles for consideration of spatially distributed multiple benefits. The benefits are location and context specific. There cannot be simultaneous optimization of all benefits. There are trade-offs between them. It's important to understand the background environmental conditions when we plan blue-green infrastructure. And some of the benefits develop over time. For instance, carbon sequestration, with assuming that your blue-green infrastructure involves the growth of trees, you don't have carbon sequestration overnight. It will be a process over the next 10, 20, 30 years. And something very important is to understand that different stakeholder groups have different priorities and might be different from those of the asset owner. So not always the person or the organization that pays, for instance, a water company, has the same interest as the city council or the residents. So now we covered the spatial aspect of blue-green infrastructure, but what I'm also interested, and we've been working on, is to understand what's the most effective mix of blue-green and gray systems in any location at any given time. So that suggests that climate change is a gradual process. So how do we adapt gradually to that? There is also urbanization pressure. How do we adapt to urbanization in a gradual manner? Well, one has to set a long-term performance threshold. Are we interested in having flood protection, let's say, for a 1 in 5 years flood, 1 in 30 years flood? That's something we have to agree on. And we need to see how different interventions combine one with the other. So this will help us understand which interventions should be prioritized, what is the assessment approach for the efficacy of these interventions, and when should they be implemented? Should they be implemented today in anticipation of future climate, or could we defer the decision to the future? So here, for example, I'm going to study in a sub-catchment in South London, in Sutton in particular. So we've done a model here of the baseline condition. In yellow, you will see flooded manholes as it stands now, with return periods that we estimate for 2020, but assuming that you'll have climate change and these projections have impacts on the return period, for exactly the same catchment with no other alteration, you'll get many more flooded nodes in 2070. So once you've understood your baseline, you can start testing different options. Here we tested bioretention cells, permeable pavement, pipes, and a SADS pond. So what we're interested here is to evaluate the options contribution and long-term performance. We've done this, but what is important is not to see each option separately. We think that it's important to see the combination in pathways. So if we start with bioretention cells, for how long can they be functional, or how much space do we have for bioretention cells? At what point do we switch to a pipe system and upgrading the pipe system? So anyway, with these 4 options, you can imagine there are many different configurations over time. Maybe one wants to start with bioretention cells, another one wants to start with a pond, or start with pipes and then implement in many alternative ways. So what's important then is to evaluate what I have as point 5 on the right. Evaluate the pathways in terms of multiple benefits and cost of the infrastructure itself and of its maintenance. So what we do here is develop a typical project finance assessment with a net present value of the total expenditure. So what we see is that different pathways might have different profiles. For instance, if we upgrade the pipe system first, we get the pathway 5, which means we have a huge capital expenditure today, and then it is reduced in the future when we implement also some bioswales and some other blue-green infrastructure. However, this is very little flexible. It leads to a lock-in, which is something that Ellis also mentioned, because we might not need to invest that much. We don't know how climate will evolve. So why not start with a smaller intervention, a blue-green intervention, which has a lower capital expenditure today, and probably a little bit higher maintenance cost in the future, as it is in the case with the pathway 1, 2, 3, and 4. So some spikes you see in pathway 2 reflect the maintenance cost of permeable pavements and some bioretention swales. So This is purely a cost estimation. However, once we start accounting for the monetized multiple benefits, I'm not going into the detail how we monetize multiple benefits, we can see that pathway 3, which was presented, I'm going back a few slides, it's one of these pathways where we start with the pond and the bioretention cells. We can see that we have a monetized value of multiple benefits that is quite high. And if we add this, or better said, subtract this from the cost, we end up with a possibly positive cost-benefit ratio. So that is quite important, considering the multiple benefits in the monetized forms in our economic assessment of our drainage systems. It's not only economic damage, it's not only infrastructural cost, but there's also monetized multiple benefits. So some messages here I would like for you to keep. It's that identifying the right mix of blue, green, and grey infrastructure has implications on investment planning. That decisions on such decision making should include multiple benefits. We should have flexible pathways to take uncertainty into account, and we can carry out evaluations of flexibility. So these concepts apply to retrofit new build environments. And here I'm showing, in my last slide, a retrofit environment in Amsterdam in a project we are working on with the Urban Innovative Actions. This is the resilient project of the adaptive network of smart grid blue-green roofs in Amsterdam. So this goes beyond green roofs because there's a layer, as you can see on the left, of blue storage, water storage essentially, which feeds through capillary rise the green infrastructure, and this way we have the maintenance of the hydrological cycle on the rooftop. So it's a very small catchment, let's say, on the rooftop. So what we achieve here is flat risk reduction with real-time control. These roofs are interconnected between them, so we don't need to empty all roofs proactively. We can choose which roof needs to be emptied for a given event that is forthcoming. Moreover, we maintain green with the use of stored water. We provide thermal insulation to building and the mitigation of the air island effect, as I mentioned just now, and also we provide opportunities for urban biodiversity. We have brought an ecologist from the municipality to help us design the green infrastructure. And obviously, that makes our cities nicer. We provide amenity and recreation space for the residents. And on top of that, this creates a value uplift for the building and the neighborhood as a whole. So that's a very interesting project with multiple benefits integrated into the solution for flood risk reduction. And finally, there are some minor, one would say, carbon sequestration benefits, but it's still important considering that this is quite significant. It's valued by the residents, let's say. I'll close with this and with a statement which says it's not drainage anymore. We should stop thinking as hydraulic engineers and go a little bit further and consider that this drainage infrastructure we're implementing is part of a bigger urban network supporting urban resilience. So thank you, and I'll be happy to take questions.
Okay, thank you very much for your excellent presentation. I think I am expecting comments on his presentation first from our cyber audience. I think that they can give us questions or comments because their computers open. Or among the presenters, you can also give him any comment or questions, please.
Perhaps I have a question not to Leon, but to Professor Wu or someone from the audience, in how in Seoul, for example, you are currently working with the blue-green infrastructures.
You are asking me?
How are you dealing with it in the super highly urban areas of Seoul, for example, where we're working?
Yes, let me give you a quick explanation about practice of urban drainages in Seoul or the cities in Korea. You see, I'm not expert in that area, but I am saying that in general, as Leon spoke about, you see, we need basically great infrastructure still, such as pipes, drainage pipes or underground tunnels to absorb extra waters. And also, we should pursue a concept of nature-based solution or green infrastructures to absorb extra waters by using the natural process, such as you see green garden retention basins or some others. You see, but as you may have heard about that in China, even the president of China, I forget his name. He once mentioned when they had a big urban flood in China, we need to make our city to be like sponge, which means facilitation of rainfalls into ground and the collection of rainfall waters in a certain you see depleted places so that they could be drained later gradually. But my point is that it's all probably they are considering both green infrastructures, expanding green infrastructures, also considering based on best management practice, you see implementation of green infrastructures. But what I'm saying is that Europe, you see, we are affected by westerly winds, oceanic climate. We are affected by monsoon climate. You see, rainfall intensity sometimes exceed 100 millimeter per hour, and sometimes we have had 50 millimeter per hour in urban areas. In that case, there is no way to protect our you see properties. So in that case, also we need to implement to make our people understood that we need to live with flood. So the concept of living with flood. So to make people to be endured with a minor floods in urban areas. So that's the another way. So I'm saying still green infrastructure and green infrastructures also the citizens mind to endure you see a certain degree of floods in urban areas in the era of climate change. That's my small comment. Okay.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes, you see, time is limited, so thank you very much, Leon, for your presentation and good example of, you see that is the area of London, England. Okay, then I am asking again, Professor Simon Dufault for giving us a presentation. This time are you ready?
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you very much. Okay,
technical problem.
Yes, it's nice to see you here.
Okay,
please.
Now, okay. Can you hear? Okay. Can you?
Yes, you can try, Simon. I do hear a bit of breaks and hiccups on the line, but let's try.
Okay. So, okay. So I'm trying to go. And okay. So be quite brief and I would like to thank you for the time to talk about the system services. And just as a system services, when you as you see, really today solution like a framework can help this kind of solution. And it has a new component of define this is especially CITs and the application and the patient down where it's very important to use for protection for management. First, short definition. Diagnosis is a little bit before it's quite simple. It's just the idea that there is some benefits that are provided by the population by ecosystem function. For example, before you have to start with river, if you have time, and if you are stream observer, even look at last system we can be fluid, we see the impact.
Simon, a quick question. Can you turn off your video so perhaps your connection is a bit more stable?
This.
Yeah, and try to speak.
Okay, is it better?
It is better, yes, but you lost your screen.
Oh, sorry.
저 시원이 갖고 있는 컴퓨터가 고물인가 봐요. 그렇지 않고 저렇지.
Okay, I again to share the screen.
Okay,
Yeah, now it's good. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's my fault. Okay. So the idea is quite simple. You can provide the ecosystem when they are properly managed and provide services to the human population. And one of the major interests of ecosystem services is that it provides a large framework that allows to identify a large range of services provided. Usually they are divided into 4 categories: supporting, provisioning, regulating, and cultural services. The last category is very important. The idea is quite simple, but you have to be aware, of course, that behind this simple idea is some elements that create a little more complexity when you try to use this framework. First, as all the concept that combines biophysical processes and social needs, there is multiple components that can provide some benefits, and we need to be very clear when we talk about how we're talking about structure, processes, benefits, value, ecosystem services. So it's important to be very clear on what we are talking about. Exactly. Second, we need to be very clear about the ecosystem services concept can be used in different ways for different purposes. The first one is that it can be used as a pedagogic tools that can be used to illustrate how society depends on objects and processes. There is a very famous emblematic study case in New York City where it showed that for using that it's possible to use ecosystem restoration and protection to provide drinking water to the city. So it can be used as a good and very emblematic example. And there is the second use, which is probably more important in our case and more regulatory solution. It's an applied tool, an applied use. It's kind of way to improve the management practices. For example, in this case, it's a case in England where some colleagues compare different management options, and for each option, they compare and quantify the amount of benefits provided by each scenario by each option. It's a way to compare one option to another to see which option is going to provide most of the benefits on the larger range of benefits as much as possible. So the strength of this framework idea, first, that it provides a strong framework to demonstrate how rivers and river ecosystems are crucial to reach the sustainable growth of development. We know now very clearly that over the last century, most of the ecosystems, especially rivers and floodplains, have been intensively modified, and what is positive with this specification is that it honestly increased the human well-being, mainly because we increased provision services like food production, for example. So this is a positive. The problem is that if we continue follow that trajectory, but the pursuit of this degradation will generate an irreversible change and irreversible decrease of the other services, like for example food regulation, and this will mainly affect poor people. That means that now if we want to be able to provide a better equilibrium on all the services, all the benefits that are provided by river and floodplain ecosystem, we need to find a way to have a more institutional management that provides better equilibrium among the different services that we can identify as a crucial. Second strength, it provides a tool to assess river system management. For example, it can be used, as been shown in previous presentation, as a way to estimate if the action of management of the risk reduction is efficient or not. For example, in this study, some colleagues compared for 8 different rivers, some regions that have been restored and some regions that have not restored. And you can see here that the amount of services here that have been estimated through an economical evaluation is larger for the restored region. And here it shows, it demonstrates, and it's also a way to assess that we did a good job in restoring the region because we provide now more services. Third, it provides to assess the multifunctionality of river management. This is very, very important. In this example, it's based on analysis done about green infrastructure, and they compare green infrastructure. And when they compare the cost of the infrastructure, and they compare how it provides the main objectives, for example, storing water or flood defense. But they also, using the ecosystem services framework, they were able to include in the evaluation a large range of other functions provided in services. And it demonstrates that in most of the cases, or at least this study case, green infrastructure cost less, provide the same amount of direct services, and this is very small element, provide lots of other side benefits in a large range of other kind of benefits like cultural, ICT, biodiversity, and so on. So now what we need to go further, and what are the key issues? First, in terms of challenge, there is still some services, and also some these services are less documented, so we need some scientific work on that. We need also to convert this knowledge into tools that are more accessible and directly applicable for decision-making management. To be honest, it's true that the quantification of multiple services in a spatially way remains difficult. It's not so easy, so we need to progress in that direction. There is already some tool, but we need to progress, for example, to provide some tools that allow better coordination among upstream and downstream, integrate all different categories of services, and so on. And we need also to move toward a better conclusion of various stakeholder decision-making process to be able to identify a larger range as possible of services. Just to show you how in France, for example, we create some change in the way to manage the using this kind of framework. For example, if you think about wood, traditionally in France, river seen as a risk, as a services that provide some problems, that generate some problems related to food. And now we know that since at least from the 20 years, the last 20 years, that wood and river is also providing some services related to biodiversity, like fish production. So the fact that we are seeking to the same objective, wood, but in the same time as a services and services, it obliges river management society to find a way to combine things. And in France, what now we are trying to do is to keeping some wood, some riches, and to find a way that avoid this kind of risk upstream. For example, you can design some new bridges or find a better way to avoid the wood accumulation, and you can provide some wood traps. This is something that now is more used in Switzerland, for example. I saw some examples in Italy, we have a few examples in France also, and it's a way to combine different services provided by energy. Key message is now ecosystem services is clearly a useful, it's a framework. It's not a miracle that will solve all the political tension and all the decision-making process, but it helps. It highlights the functionality of every ecosystem, and despite all the difficulties that we have to access the services, it clearly helps to have a better integration of biological processes and stakeholder diversity in the management of water. And it clearly demonstrates how river is fight for water has been mentioned. Second, very important message. River ecosystem within watershed landscape have the capacity to deliver very high ecosystem services for very modest investment. If we consider the surface, the area of river system, which is very small, they provide very high amount of carbon storage, biodiversity, water, fight against pollution, and so on. So it's a very good strategy, even if we are talking about the cost of this. Third and last, in many cases, relating to ecosystem services is clearly a credible, sustainable alternative and traditional option river management or engineering. So do not hesitate to try, as Elise said before, to try to have a real plan and to try to integrate it, and it can it's not that explains everything, it's really something that can be a source of inspiration for a lot of different situations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your excellent presentations. So I presume there are some questions or comments from our audience first. Dr. Ji-Woon, you are with us now, or you leave? I don't see your name here. Okay, anyway, please let me know if you have any questions or comments on it. Good presentation about ecosystem services in the river corridor.
May I ask a quick question to Simon? Do you think it is necessary to include, say, also people like non-technical, non-civil engineering people into your projects to evaluate the ecosystem services? And what do you recommend for that?
It's a tough question. The spirit of ecosystem services is try to enlarge the scope of the discussion and the perspective of the same, let's say, regulation or same object. So yes, clearly we try to have a larger range of perspective of the discipline, for example, the same range of the object. The problem is that obviously more you are increasing the size of the team, it can take some time, but clearly if you think in terms of mid-term or long-term perspective, there is clearly a very interesting add value to include in the reflection different disciplines, including some social science.
Okay, so we have one question from the audience in the hall. Please let him give you questions.
Hello everyone. I'm Dr. Won from Theodore in Korea. Actually, I'm giving you special thanks for all presenters and organizers of this session, because this is my first time about the NDS. Actually, I'm an ecologist, therefore I have a very simple and basic question. From all of the presentation, I think MBS is trying to restore natural process in river system. But I think many the problems or issues in the river system is occurred by the human dimension, human impact. Therefore, I think from MBS solution, MBS approaches, there should be any challenges to human societies, not for the natural process itself. Is there any idea or opinion for my understanding?
Okay, Simon or Alice, can you answer each comment or questions? Yes.
Yes, I can just give one. It's clear that I mean it's something that has been very critical that has been done to ecosystem services. It's the fact that this concept is based on human benefits, which sometimes also it's something which is critical. The main advantage of thinking through this kind of framework is that clearly it's a way to talk to people. And if you don't talk to people and if you don't include the diversity of the perception, how people see and interact and live along the river, you will be not able to manage it in a sustainable way and long-term perspective. So you clearly, we are talking about biodiversity, but clearly we also to talk about what are the water uses, what are the how people are using along the river. And it's something we need to move forward, clearly. So I totally agree.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you for your good question and answers. And then let me now invite the last, not least, the last presenters of this session. She is Sanja Pokuraja. She is working in WWF, and she is talking about the role of stakeholders in European river restorations. So please, Sanja. 들어오겠죠?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now hear you. And
okay. I don't know what my camera is on now, but I will try to share my screen.
Yes.
So let me know.
Okay, you try.
Okay, I think I just lost the rights.
Yeah, please.
I think I don't have the rights to share.
Just a moment. Our person can explain again how to upload your file. Just a moment. You want to press it?
So on your left side, do you see an icon the very left side to share your screen?
Yes, but I click it doesn't work.
Wait.
저 관리자 권한 그 권한 다시 줬나요? 삼자 프로죠?
Okay, I think it should work now.
Yeah, please try again.
Okay. Sorry, if I click on it, it still doesn't work. And also, I don't have a camera. My camera just got turned off. The rights to use the camera.
Yeah, we don't see you, but we hear you very well. So if you work with the screen, I think we are good to go.
I'm sorry, I cannot share the screen. If I click on the screen sharing, it doesn't do anything.
Do you see any pop-up screen when you after click it?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Pop-up. Do you see any screen after you click the button icon, the pop-up screen? Any notice that do you want to share, like screen? Do you see any other screen?
No, I only see, if I'm on these icons on the left, yeah, there is the screen sharing option, but it just doesn't work. And I don't have a camera either that I can turn on. And I had it before.
For the camera on the upper side, shading. Oh, now you're sharing your screen.
This is the screen of Alice, but I do have Sanjay's presentation. So, Sanjay, can you see the presentation now? That you just say next slide, and I click next slide.
Okay, yeah, I think that's better because yes, this is not working. Okay, good. So let's start, and thank you for inviting me to speak here. And I will speak on behalf of the Living European Rivers Initiative. And I was asked to give a little bit more of the NGO perspective for the application of NBS. And what I really would like to highlight to you during this presentation is that in application of NBS, how partnerships are important, cooperation with many member stakeholders, as well as communication. So let's move next slide. So a little bit about our Living European Rivers initiative. So it is an initiative that includes many WWF offices to bring life back to Europe's waters for the benefit of both people and nature. So it involves other civil society organizations. It involves governments, investors, businesses, and communities, because to make NBS work, you really need collaborative planning. Also, what we are trying to do is really raise awareness about the values of freshwater ecosystems. So, Alice, please, next. A little bit, I think the colleagues have already mentioned this in their presentations as well. We looked also at the ecosystem services, and we called them the gifts that we receive from healthy rivers. So I'm not going to go too deep into this, but of course we have the drinking water, biodiversity, carbon-sink fisheries, floodplain agriculture, reduction of flood and drought risks. So all of these are ecosystem services that we receive from healthy ecosystems. And next slide, please. But in Europe, as you can see here, only about 40% of our rivers are healthy, that have wildlife, that have clean water, that have rich plant life, and about 60 is really unhealthy, and it's due to a lot of alterations, a lot of human influence. It's due to dams, pollution, draining too much water, and as a result, we have a declining wildlife. And next one, please. This is just a slide to show you what is going on with European rivers. So there's more than 21,000 hydropower plants in Europe, and a lot of them have been planned. The thing is that a lot of these hydropower plants are small, with very little benefit to energy generation, but a very high cost to biodiversity. And there's about 9,000 still planned or under construction. Yeah, we can go to the next slide. So obviously the hydropower is really affecting the health of our rivers. So to address this, our initiative, the Living European Rivers, is aiming to protect the last free-flowing rivers that still have no impact. We want to invest in nature-based solutions, and we want to turn the ambitious laws into action. This is mainly referring to our Water Framework Directive. So it is a really good tool, let's say, which is prescribing to reach a good ecological status for European rivers, but we want to really implement it and turn it into action. Our next, let's say, idea, next step is to remove dams to bring life back. And sorry, what was the just a bit. Yes, and work with nature to adapt to climate change. That also again goes back to nature-based solutions. And now, next slide, please. So yes, the way we want to protect rivers, as I said, we want to really stop the new hydropower development and also really campaign to remove the existing old dams. I don't want to take too much time on this. We can of course provide more information. I have more slides on hydropower and dams, so maybe we can move on just for the sake of time. So yes, in Europe, we have this dam removal momentum really growing. What's supporting it is also the new EU biodiversity strategy. In terms of river management, it prescribes that 25,000 kilometers of rivers are to be restored to free-flowing rivers, and that really helps our case. So there was a crowdfunding event which resulted in 15 dam removals, and it started by WWF Netherlands, but it was taken by many other WWF offices. So this is a growing initiative, and there are a lot of examples on the dam removal website. So you can have a look, because it shows how quickly rivers go back to the natural state once the obstacles are removed. Next slide, please. Also, what I wanted to mention in terms of communication and partnerships and cooperation, it's this Protect Water campaign. So it was an online campaign that is still running, and as you can see, it reached a really high number of supporters. And also we achieved public consultation, and then by that we achieved support for our goals, which is at the end protection of rivers. Also, the new Green Deal and the biodiversity strategy, as well as its parts, the Farm to Fork related to agriculture and climate strategies, really point out to the importance of nature-based solutions in resolving our challenges that we're facing right now. And next one, please. So this is just some partners that are working with LAIR. And I think that's really important, because you can see the dam removal is there, Nature Peace Conservancy, Living European Rivers, Eurodot. So I think it is the highlight of how we need to work on a very large scale, and it's impossible for one small office or just one partner to achieve such a big change and large-scale restoration. So we are really working with a lot of partners, and what we are trying to do is explore potential corporate partners and actually start working with businesses as well. Next one, please. So this is just some of the actions really that we will look at in the next couple of years. So we'll protect the last free-flowing rivers in Europe, and really try to avoid the key threats by shifting the policy incentive from hydropower alternative, either solar, wind, or refurbishment of buildings, etc. So that's what we will really try to do and protect and preserve the last free-flowing rivers. And next slide, please. We want to use nature-based solutions as a preferred tool for climate change adaptation and mitigation, and we have already developed and implemented pilots on the ground. But what we really need to do is initiate larger-scale programs, because all of these pilots are still very small scale, but they can be used for demonstrating that nature-based solutions actually do work. But there is a big challenge ahead of us to really bring it to a higher level and initiate large-scale restoration. We also want to show that NBS work by providing the cost-benefit analysis as well, and make funding available for NBS at a larger scale. But we also want at the end to influence European and national policies. Next slide, please. Yes, so create a movement across Europe to recover the productivity of rivers. That is really mainly the Dam Removal Europe Alliance. which is really working to remove, here I call it dams and increase the knowledge, but also make funding available. That's related to the crowdfunding also that I mentioned before. Next one, please. Yes, as I already mentioned, we want to keep the ambition of the Water Framework Directive and actually ensure its implementation on the ground. We use that by communication. We communicate the added value of the Water Framework Directive, and we are trying to influence other policies such as river basin plans in different countries and also sectoral policies that are related to water. So we want to shift the European, the Green Deal and the investment funds away from activities that are impacting rivers and into the Water Framework Directive implementation, which requires the good ecological status of our rivers and water bodies. And the next one, please. Okay, so that's also a little bit about dam removal. I've actually moved this so we can move to the next slide because I want to mention something else. Okay, so just to give you one really good example of success, so this was probably the largest dam removal in Europe. It's a dam in France that was built in 1927, and it's 36 meters high. So it's really a problem, and for migratory fish, that because it's a coastal river, it was a huge problem for migratory fish. So it was practically impossible, and fish species were significantly declining. If you can just move to the next slide. The thing is that also the maintenance of the dam became really expensive because it was old from 1927. It created a lot of water quality problems, eutrophication of the reservoirs. It was even, they couldn't even swim because there were toxic materials in the pool, and it was generating very little electricity. So then the initiative even started in 2007 that the dam should be removed, but it took quite a while, as you can see. It took almost 10 years to actually start working on its decommission. But in summer 2019, sorry, it was completely removed, and the river is slowly going back to its meandering course as it was before. But there are some other images that you can also look up for, and it's really interesting how quickly it came back, how quickly the biodiversity came back once the dam was removed. So I just wanted to show this as a very good example of many people who are working together, and so it's really possible to do it together. I think I've already mentioned quite a lot of this, so we can just move on. So yes, what we really just wanted to highlight that by 2030 their really wants to protect and restore nature for the benefit of people and planet. But I just want to highlight again here how important it is that we work with other NGOs, also with partners in the scientific and corporate sector, and that we also have a joint narrative. We have to have a joint message to people how important it is to preserve our rivers, not just for conservation per se, but also for the health and benefits of people. So yes, really what I just wanted to highlight and bring it from the NGO perspective is how communication and cooperation is important. And with this, I would end my presentation. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh yes, sorry to say, of course, with the social media, the Twitter account, the Instagram account, there's about 3.5 million followers just for European WWF offices. So a huge influence, of course.
Okay, so thank you very much for your good presentation about, you see, a kind of stream restoration or conservation of non-regulated river systems left in the European continent. Okay, please let me know if you have any question or comments on her presentation. So you see, so
I have a question for Stasia.
Okay, yes, please, Leon.
Yeah, Sonia, thanks for the presentation, and I totally endorse the goal for the living and flowing rivers. What my question is, well, the logic of my question is the following. You mentioned that hydropower is not green, yet it is renewable, and we should promote more solar photovoltaic. However, other people might say, I don't want wind turbines, I don't want photovoltaic in my backyard, for different reasons, due to the food nexus, somebody else may not want biofuels. So how do we argue against this point, that somebody else might not like another type of renewable energy? And the other question is whether we are against all hydropower schemes or just specific ones, particularly in areas that there is no potential for wind and photovoltaic production, energy production.
Okay, well, yes, thank you for your questions, and it's something that we're always facing in our work. So, mainly, when we're talking about hydropower, we have now two issues where we're working on. One is that the dam renewal, but it's obsolete and old dams, which it makes no sense to repair them and to keep them, and they bring a lot of bad things to nature once they are removed. The other issue of we have small hydropower, and what is really shown is that that small hydropower on small free-flowing rivers and streams, especially in the Balkans, because it's mountains. So the impact on the biodiversity is huge. The rivers are completely disappearing, and of course the whole wildlife, the biodiversity associated to them, and the benefits are very low. So their capacity for power generation is not really important. They don't create any jobs, and it's only the one benefits is the one we constructed is because of the incentives for sustainable energy. So incentives are really the problem, and that resulted in mini hydropower plants being built everywhere, and they're usually abandoned really soon. So because they don't generate anything, but the investor took the money, and then they just kind of leave it there and ruin the river. So I think it's in a way a very good argument against these mini hydropower plants. Of course, if in some, it's on case by case basis. If for some country it really makes a lot of sense, and the benefits to society really outweigh the damage they're going to do to the ecosystems, I think then of course you would have to rethink your options. Then again, regarding the other renewable energy sources, I mean, I know that it's not in my backyard. I think it's quite a big problem as well. But then again, there are solutions and there are options, and the way to go about it is to really, if you want to make an intervention, discuss it with the stakeholders and see what issues there are, because now there are ways to implement these projects in a way that's really not bothering people, let's say, so much, and can bring quite a lot of benefits. But I think the public participation in these decisions is quite important.
I think this is a very important last point from my experience here in Greece, where people are totally against wind turbines in the Greek islands because it will ruin the cultural heritage and what everybody in the world thinks about the Greek islands. Same goes for the mountain areas where people don't want to see the wind turbines. And I think a big part of this opposition is because they have not engaged citizens, residents about the benefits. They're just solutions that come top down from the Ministry of Environment or Development with no say or consultation. The consultation is very important, like you said.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you for your good comments and answers. Okay, thank you, Sandra. Now is high time for us to conclude this session. Before I conclude this session, I am asking Alice Penning to give us a kind of concluding remarks on this special session. Okay? Alice, please, take your time for a few minutes. Are you hearing me? Okay. Alice, are you with us now? Yes, surely you are with us now. Okay, let's take us some time before she's coming. You see, I already asked Dr. Chanju Lee to play as repertoire of this special session. So he probably summarized what we talk about and what kind of discussion we had during this session. Then after I and Alice Penning checking the document, I'll distribute all of you by email so that you can have a good memory of these discussions. Okay. Then last, I'd like to ask Alice Penning something long. You see, okay, so we are already 25 minutes behind the schedule because of some technical issues and some you see inexperiences in dealing with new telecommunication softwares, which it was made in Korea, not common. So as you chairperson and organizer of this session, I am saying apology to all of you for making some interruption during our sessions. So now, if you do not have any comment before I close this session, then last, Alice Penning. No. Okay. Again, I express my sincere thanks to especially 5 speakers, including Alice Penning and Simon Defoe, Leon Carpentas, Sanja Pokraja, and a Korean scholars are now in the Deltares, Chanju Lee, and especially the audience still in my cyberspace and some audience in this hall. You see, have a good lunch in Europe and have a good dinner in Korea. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
수고했습니다. 근데 앨리스 펜이 어디로 갔지?